Good evening, everyone. How is everybody doing?
Good evening, Dr. Do. I'm well, and how are
Great,
you?
doing great.
Fabulous.
Great. Happy
Good
Friday.
evening, Dr. Adrian.
Good
Good,
evening.
good.
Great. Appreciate everybody's time. We are starting time now. So you're all welcome to Eretmis Cyber Chat. We do this every Friday night. And like I always say, Friday night you could have been anywhere else, but you chose to be here to share in the knowledge and then also to learn and get something for your toolbox. So whether you are an aspiring cybersecurity professional, you're already in the industry, this is the place to be, right? A community of like-minded people, growing and learning in the cybersecurity space. So appreciate everybody's time. If this is your first time, we do this every Friday night. So you can join us every Friday night live on Zoom, or you can join us on YouTube. Everything that we are doing, we transmit live on YouTube as well. So I appreciate everybody's time. So tonight we have a very interesting discussion, and we have one of our own who's going to walk us through what they do on the job, and it's going to be everybody else is going to be my co-pilot. So make your questions ready. You raise your virtual hand, and we give you the floor to ask your questions. So you're welcome once again. I'm Dr. Emmanuel Edu, and let's begin. So tonight we are going to be discussing how to become an information systems security officer, ISO or ISO, whichever way that you want to pronounce it. So this is a very one of the biggest or a very common role when it comes to government contractors and working for the government, federal or state. This is one of the the very common roles that you are going to find out there, and they do almost the same thing in different organizations, but it differs a little bit, at least based on the agency you are working for. But bottom line, you are going to be doing pretty much almost the same thing, right? So let's see what you need to be able to function in this role. So we are here to learn. Now, this is brought to you by Eretmis Academy. We are a cybersecurity institute based out of New York, and we teach anything and everything cybersecurity. So we have courses that we are going to go through and let you know the different types of courses and specialty courses that we have. I'm Dr. Emmanuel Edu, cybersecurity professional, the CEO of Eretmis Inc., a cybersecurity company. We are a QSA, a PCI QSA company. We do PCI, DSS audits and assessments, and we do all other things cybersecurity. We do federal government contracts as well, and we work, but predominantly on the corporate side. We do most of our contracts on the corporate side as well. So, also the founder of Eretmis Academy and a former United States Army captain, a member of the Forbes Technology Council, and also a former professor at University of Maryland Global Campus and CTC. So you are very much welcome. Let's jump into. So for Eretmis, we are partners with CompTIA. We are CompTIA authorized partners. And what this means is that we have 20% discount on all CompTIA vouchers, which we give to everyone who joins us on CyberChat and everybody within the Eretmis family, right? Whether you are, you've enrolled in a course or not, we still afford you this 20% discount on all CompTIA certification that you want to sit for. Now, this discount is only for CompTIA. Other certification bodies, they don't have these any discount program of that nature, right? So for everyone on here, if you are looking to sit for a certification or you already have one, every 3 years you are supposed to renew your certification. So two ways of renewing your certification: you can sit for the exam again, or you can use what we call continuous educational points. So if you are here tonight, every hour of time we spend here counts as one continuous educational point. So put hashtag team live in the chat, and you can take a screenshot of that. And that is what you're going to be using as one of the continuous educational points. Also, if you go to our YouTube channel and you are watching some of these videos, you can also use that, take screenshot of that also as what you can use to renew your certification, right? There are a couple of folks on here within the Eretmis family who've used Cyber Chat, just Cyber Chat to renew their certifications. Right now, for Cyber Chat, we have a WhatsApp group that you will be able to join, and that way you don't miss anything Cyber Chat or any updates in the cybersecurity space. Right. So, and then also YouTube, we are transmitting everything that we are doing on Friday nights on YouTube as well. And Easter is around the corner. We have a 20% discount coming for Easter. So that will be sent out via all the different platforms that we have. So please be on the lookout. If you are looking to jump into any of our courses, then this is an opportunity for you to save 20% the cost. And tomorrow, our interns, our GRC interns, they are graduating, and we invite you to join us in the morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, to join us and to celebrate the hard work they've put into the whole entire internship program. Very intensive, but they went above and beyond. We were supposed to do 10 weeks. We went a little bit overboard because of all the Christmas break and other things that were in there. But finally, we are done graduating tomorrow. So kindly, we encourage you to join us and to help us celebrate our GRC interns. Now, tonight, we will look at cyber news, and then we will jump into how to become an information system security officer. Right. So with that, we are going to jump into cyber news. Now, in cyber news, guess who is on cyber news? So Zelle, everybody on here is not new to Zelle, right? You use Zelle to send money, to do other things. I mean, obviously to send money, but to send money for different purposes. Now, proud to cyber news tonight, I wasn't aware that Zelle had an app, right? Was anybody aware that Zelle had an app like Cash App?
Yes, I was aware, but I did not use it.
Okay, Aaron.
No, I am not aware. That's new.
Okay, so we all use Zelle in our bank's app. So if you have like Bank of America, Citibank, whatever bank, they have Zelle in there. So you can just go in there, click on transfer money, and then select Zelle, right? But Zelle as a standalone app, I didn't know Zelle had an app.
Yeah, they had it, yes.
Oh, okay. Anybody else knew this?
Yes, doctor, they do. My wife uses it every time.
Yes, we knew.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Doc,
Yeah,
Doc, I knew about it, but I didn't know it belonged to Zelle. So
Yeah, I was thinking about Cash App, but you know, it was Zelle.
No, I'm not asking about Cash App. Zelle
Does it mean it
itself
has
had
a different
an app.
name?
No. So there is an app, Zelle app, right? It's not Zelle in your bank's app or on your bank's website. They had an app, like a standalone app that wasn't connected to any bank.
Yeah. Standalone app, but now they are shutting it, so we'll be just using
Yes.
it.
Yeah. So I was like, Zelle had an app. I
Yeah.
thought it was just bank to bank transfer. Well, apparently they had an app, right? And this app, the reason for the app was simply because they wanted to compete with, I mean, some banks came together. I think it was like 20 of them or 30 banks. They came together and they decided to come up with an app that was going to compete with Cash App, Venmo, and Apple Pay and others, because they think they were taking some business from them. So they came up with Zelle, right? So these 30 banks, they were the pioneers who started Zelle within their own app, right? Like their own bank app. So if it was like Bank of America, they had it in there so you can transfer to another bank that had Zelle, right? So, and they had the standalone app to compete with, Cash App and others. But now, I think this week, they decided to shut down the app because now they have more banks joining the Zelle bus, right? So now you do, and most people do more bank-to-bank Zelle transfers than using the app. So I think it just makes sense for them to, put the app away, because the maintenance of the app, security of it, and everything is not cheap. And, so if they are able to safely do transactions within their bank apps, then I think that make more sense. Now, Zelle, 2024, they had more than 1 trillion transactions going back and forth. So this space is a very lucrative space, right? Now, so with these apps comes a lot of issues and problems. So guess what? Zelle was sealed. Was did everybody knew about this? So last year, about a while ago, Zelle was sealed by one government agency because the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, because they were saying Zelle was allowing, people to fraud, like it was people were using that for fraud a lot. And when you send Zelle to somebody, it's like you gave them the money. You wouldn't be able to recover it if it is gone already, right? So they wanted to take them on. The Biden's administration wanted to take them on, and they were in court, right? So some banks like Chase Bank and West Fargo and the rest, they said customers lost almost 870 million in Zelle transactions to fraudulent, malicious actors, people who were scamming them. So now when President Trump came in this March, they dropped the charges, just put the case to rest. So there is no lawsuit anymore, right? So now Zelle is moving to just strictly doing bank-to-bank transfer. And I think they have more banks now, more than 22,000, 2,200. So hopefully they will be adding more banks to it. But this was news to me. Like Zelle app, I wasn't sure there was one. Right. So this is our simple and easy cyber chat, cyber news for this week. So with that, we are moving on. We want to run through this a bit faster. That way we have more time to discuss with our special guest, Samuel. So for Eretmis, we have our AI governance specialist course. And this course takes you through. So for folks who are not very familiar with the AI space, with the AI space, you have one side that is developing the code and writing the code for AI. And then you have the other side that is making sure AI is staying in compliance with AI regulations. There are policies for AI, and usual stuff that we do for cybersecurity GRC, right? And that is what we call that space is AI governance, right? So our training, very comprehensive, comes with hands-on, like all our other training. So you'll be able to not just learn theory and concepts, but actually how to perform as an AI governance specialist. And our cloud security course, as a security professional, you need to know how to move in the cloud as well, how to secure the cloud. So if you are looking to polish up your knowledge and skill in the cloud space, this is the right course for you as well. Now, for anyone who is, if you want to switch careers into cybersecurity, even if you're already in IT, the best course out there is our cybersecurity entry level course. So we encourage you to look into the entry level. There's 2 months of training, 2 months of doing. You can learn theory and concepts all day, but if you don't do anything in the security space, you've never done anything, and employers are looking for what you can do, not what you just know, right? That is why on the job, nobody's going to quiz you, and there's no multiple, choice for you to choose from on the job. You do that for certifications and others. On the job, they expect you to do things. So how do you do things if you've never done anything? All you know is theory, right? So this course takes you from theory to doing, because you cannot also do what you don't know. So everything starts from the theory side, and then you have to, add the hands-on to it, right? So for our PCI course, also, if you are in the security space already, or you have a very solid IT background and you are looking to specialize in arguably the most lucrative niche in cybersecurity, then look into our PCI DSS training as well. There's our payment security compliance program, very comprehensive, comes with, we have 2 types, expert and specialist. Both of them come with extensive internship. And then we also start you from the knowledge piece, build you all the way up to the point where you can jump into our internship, right? So for our very last program that we're going to look at, our cybersecurity GRC internship and workshop. So for anyone with some training elsewhere, you have a master's in cybersecurity, bachelor's in cybersecurity, you've done a boot camp elsewhere, but you really don't have the hands-on, this is where to be. Now, if you are not sure of this program, you can join our graduation tomorrow to really listen to what our interns did, for them to walk you through projects that they did. And when they started up to this point, the growth that they've experienced themselves, right? So this is where you're actually going to be doing cybersecurity. So this year, the goal is don't just learn cybersecurity, do cybersecurity, right? Our next cohort is starting on the 24th of May. Now, graduation tomorrow, kindly, we encourage you to join us in the morning, 10 a.m. Eastern to 11, very short and brief, but it's going to be very interesting. And our 20% discount for Easter is being rolled out also as well. So our YouTube channel, our WhatsApp link will be posted for Cyber Chat, and then the YouTube channel. Now, tonight's discussion, how do you become, or the steps, how do you become an information systems security officer, right? So before we allow our special guest, I know Samuel is here. Before we allow Samuel in here, we are going to go through just something briefly, and then we will give Samuel the floor. And you can make your questions ready, because as we are starting off, Samuel introduce himself, and then your questions can start rolling whilst, I'm also prepping and coming up with some questions, right? All right, so you can, and also put your questions in the chat as we are moving along. So how do you become an ISSO? So who is an ISSO in the first place, right? Like the name suggests, Information Systems Security Officer. So you are in charge of information systems, right? Now, mostly, like I said, this role is on the government side or on, private companies doing contracts for the government, right? So cybersecurity ensuring, all cybersecurity professionals are ensuring the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information systems or data of some sort, right? So what ISOs do is they oversee the security posture of systems, and they ensure internal policies, industry standards, and government regulations are met, right? So they act as a bridge between technical teams, management, regulatory bodies, and other frameworks that the organization will have to stay in compliance with, right? So some of the key responsibilities: implementing and maintaining security controls, to monitor system security, detect vulnerabilities, respond to incidents, conduct risk assessment, security audits, develop and ensure security policies and procedures, ensure compliance with most of the NIST frameworks, right? I wouldn't say government frameworks, but most of the NIST frameworks are, mandated on the federal side, and then also some states. So NIST, almost all the NIST frameworks, but depending on the agency you are working for, but at least FESMA, RMF, and others, you are going to be working on such frameworks, and then also other duties to create security documentation, so policies and others, train staff on security awareness and best practices, serve as a point of contact for security issues as well, right? Now, some of the common places you are going to be working as ISO is going to be government agencies, like I said, defense contractors, health side, financial side, and then also large corporations. So depending on, but mostly this title specifically. On the corporate side, the same title sometimes might be security analyst or, other titles of that nature. But on the government side, they really love the ISO title. Now, whom are you going to be working with? System admin, your networking folks, compliance officers, senior leadership, and others, right? So with that, we are going to leave the floor to introduce our special guest. So Samuel, if you are here, you can kindly introduce yourself, and then we are going to jump into what you do on daily basis, and then you can, later on, you walk us through part of your journey, getting to where you are now. So, Samuel, you can kindly unmute yourself and introduce yourself.
All right, thank you, Doctor. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. My name is Samuel. You can call me Bobby as well. I'm an Air Force veteran, and currently I'm working with Aegis Aerospace as an ISSO. And did you say I should go through what I do on a job day today?
No, so just introduce yourself, like what you are doing and, your transition. So just give us a brief about you, and then we will start with the questions.
Oh, okay. So like I said, my name is Samuel, and I'm Air Force veteran. And currently I'm working with Aerospace, Aegis Aerospace as an ISSO. And then my journey with Eretmis started, I think, way back somewhere 2022. 2022, 2021. I'm not sure of the year, but I remember going through my Facebook page, and then I saw your advert pops up, and then I reached out. At that time, I've always wanted to do something cybersecurity, but I didn't know how, because the people around me were telling me I need to study some programming languages and stuff like that, which, of course, I didn't have any background in IT. So with those information that I had at hand during that time, I thought it was going to be something that I cannot do until I make that phone call with you. And then after that, I knew I can do it. And then here am I today.
All right, Samuel. Thank you for that brief intro. So, as an ISSO, what do you do on daily basis? Like, if you can describe your role, like what really is your role about, and then you can go into your daily, like what you do on daily basis.
All right. So we are a team of 5. We are 4 ISSOs, and then one. So let's say 5. We have the ISSO lead, and then we all handle different systems. So I've been assigned to 2 different systems, one on the low side and one on the high side. When I say low and high side, I mean one is a classified system, and then the other one is unclassified system. So my day to day, basically, I've been assessing controls, and it is a lot of controls in there. One of the system I have almost about 500 or more controls there.
Oh God.
Where I have to come out with poems for each of these controls. So my day to day has been almost the same, pretty much the same. And then also, there are a lot of meetings that I have with my ISSM ref. So my day to day is more like control assessment, having a bunch of meetings and making sure that the system, we are coming out with so many mitigation strategies, writing milestones and all of that. So yeah, pretty much about that.
Okay. So, now, if you can help us here a little bit. So for folks who are trying to get into the cybersecurity space, you were talking about controls, systems. If you can break that down more for us. So, how is your environment like? Where you work, what do you mean by controls? What do you mean by systems? If you can break that down for us.
Oh, okay. So I work with the government side, right? It is Aegis Aerospace is one of those contractors that work with the government. So we work on the government side at the Air Force base, Space Force base. All right. So when I talk about the system, we have so many systems that we work with. Some of the system is classified and some are not. So I've been assigned with a classified system. So I work, one of the systems that I work with is AWS, so which is mostly in the cloud-based system. And then we also have UDMZ. We also have, they have those acronyms that they use, which I don't think is known anywhere beside the DoD. So basically, to make it more simple, we have classified system and then unclassified system that we work with. So the classified system is more like you need a clearance before you can be authorized to do anything on those systems. And then the unclassified system, of course, those are the stuff that everyone can do some stuff there.
Okay. Any questions for Bobby as we are going through? If you have questions, you can kindly start putting your questions in the chat. Oh, okay. So somebody, Francis was asking, is the role ISSO the same as GRC role based on your explanation? Okay, so that is directed to me. We will answer that here shortly. Okay, so Bobby, now, I mean, we have an idea of what you do on daily basis. How is your day like? Are you working remotely or you are working on site? And if you are working remotely, first thing in the morning, what do you do when you open your laptop or whatever system you are using? If you are working on site, when you get to work, walk us through your day.
Yeah, so I do 3 days on site and then 2 days on remote. So Monday to day, the first thing that I do, I work our ISSO, we work with the engineers, and then we also work with the compliance team as well. So the first thing that I do is to check if I've received any artifacts from the engineers. When I talk about artifacts, maybe I want to see a list of some controls that needs to be uploaded in our EMAS. So the tool that we use is what we call the EMAS, right? So everything that we are doing it in the EMAS. So any tool, any item that I receive from the engineers, I have to make sure that it is uploaded. So the first thing that I do in the morning is to, when I go into my system, is to see if they have sent me anything that I need to upload into the EMAS. Once that is done, I go back to the controls, making sure that each control, it have if there are any vulnerabilities associated with any control, I am coming out with a poem. So when we talk about the poem, you have to write a vulnerability description. Why do you think this is a vulnerability if we don't put any control in place, right? So I have to come out with a vulnerability description. I have to come out with a resource that are required. Where can we get those artifacts? Where can we get the resources to make sure that this control is being mitigated? Where can we get our evidences? I have to get those information from. And then from there, I also have to write an impact description. So the impact description is, if we do not mitigate this risks, what is the impact to the system? I have to come up with something like that. And then from there, I also have to write about the strategies, mitigation strategies. What are we going to do to make sure that this vulnerability is mitigated or attended to? And then also have to set up a milestone that is basically a date. Normally we use 6 months out, that the next 6 months, this control needs to be assessed. We have to make sure that this vulnerability is fixed. And then once I'm done, I move on to the next control. So like I said, there are so many things that I've been tasked to do, but for the past 3 months or so, all that I do is assessing controls, making sure that all the controls, we have poems. If we don't have poems, I check, I review policies, making sure that policies are in checks, everything looks good before I can move on to the next control.
Okay. So and now you're saying you work 3 days and then 2 days off. Now, mostly people ask, so if you are working 3 days on and 2 days at home, how does that work? Did they send you like your laptop and your other setup for home, and then still you go to work and you have your workstation that you are working with?
Yeah, so I do have my laptop. I have a laptop that I use. So on my remote days, I have my laptop with me. And so I try as much as the high side, I can only do anything on the high side on prem, right? So my 3 days that I go on the prem, I make sure that I do everything on the high side. And then on my remote days is where I attend to the system that are not classified.
Okay. And so we are talking about classified, unclassified, because you're working in the government space. Uh, do you need to have security clearance to do what you are doing?
Yeah, so the minimum requirement for my job was security plus and a clearance.
Okay. Okay. So for this role, there was a certification requirement.
Yes.
Okay. And like what type of clearance? Is it secret or top secret?
Yeah, it should be secret.
Okay. Okay. I think like somebody was asking that in here. And another question in the chat. So for those with your hands up, I'll let you in here shortly. Did you have any IT experience before this?
No, I didn't have any IT background. So like I said with my intro, I was in the Air Force and I was in the medical field. I didn't do anything cybersecurity. That was the hardest part when I wanted to break into the IT. I mean, I didn't have any background in cybersecurity, so it was more like trying to do something that you have no idea of, right? So I didn't have any knowledge in IT security or whatsoever.
Okay. And I think somebody, so for the security clearance and certifications also has been cleared. So, and was your role in the Air Force related to cybersecurity? If so, how did you transition? I think you've answered that also already. Now, so Angela is asking, so when you say you work on two systems, do you mean servers or like what do you mean with the two systems?
No, the system I was talking about, I'm referring to, we have classified system and then unclassified system. So the system, we have AWS system, we have I don't know, there are so many acronyms that we use that I don't know if it makes sense for me to say it, but we have a system we call CLAN, ULAN, UDMZ. Those are systems, right? So we have the same system on the low side, we have the same system on the high side. So it has nothing to do with what he said. But basically, I'm just trying to say we have a low and then we have a high systems that we work with.
Okay. So when you say low and high, what exactly do you mean by low and high?
So the high system, you need a security clearance because we have so
Okay.
many sensitive information out there that it's only when you have clearance they will assign you to that system. But the low side, you don't really need a clearance to do those jobs over there. It is basically the same thing that I do on the low side, like evaluating all the computer, the controls, doing risk assessment and all of that. It is the same thing that I do on the high side, but I'm exposed to more sensitive stuff when I'm on the high system than the low system.
Oh, okay. And I think there are some. So I'm gonna let Moise please go, and then David, and then we'll come back to the questions in the chat.
Yeah, Bobby, congratulations, brother. I have just two questions. So how many times did you get a interview with the company you're working now? And how long was the training they gave you before you were like, now I'm ready to do everything by yourself? So how long was the training and how was the interview? Thank you.
Okay, so the interview was just once, right? It was just one interview with the ISSM reps, those guys that I'm working with right now and the ISSM lead. All right. So the first one was, I think the recruit, when I applied for the job, the recruiter reached out and he only wanted to see if I made the minimum requirement. So the requirement was I need to have a security plus and a clearance. So once that was established, he set me up with a ISSO team and then one of the ISSM reps. So it was just one interview. And then what was the second question?
It was how long was your training? How long was the training they gave you at workplace before you feel like now you can't do by on your own?
Oh, okay. So yeah, I mean, There wasn't any training. I mean, I was able to pass the interview, and then they gave me the job. So the only thing that I told them was I've never used EMAS. So EMAS is the tool that they use, the compliance tool that they use on the DoD side, right? I have no idea about it. So I told them I was very honest about it, and everything that we are doing, everything I'm talking about, everything is done within the EMAS. So if you have zero knowledge about EMAS, it means you cannot do the job. But during the interview, it was more like risk assessment compliance question. And from everything that I did with Eretmis during the internship, I mean, we went through how to do risk assessment. The first project that we did was to conduct the security posture of a company. We came out with the gaps, we designed policies and all of that. So I used that knowledge, and I was able to go through the RMF process and then transfer the knowledge that I got from Eretmis, and everything that I was reading on the RMF side was making sense. So nobody taught me how to do RMF. We didn't do that on Eretmis, but everything that we did was basically the same as I read when I wanted to go into RMF, right? So nobody actually taught me anything. After passing through the interview, they gave me the job, and we are a team of 4 ISO plus our ISSO lead, making 5 of us. So the first thing was, I think my first 2 weeks, they didn't assign me to any particular system. It was more like training and training. They were training a video on how to use the emails, but I mean, looking at the how the video is, the training, the structure, and everything, it doesn't really make sense when you are just watching it until you start using it, right? So I have to ask the right question. The other team members, I'll ask them, hey, how do we do this? How do we do that? So it was almost every day I go in, I have a lot of questions to ask them. And whatever that they're doing, I'll be observing. Nobody actually assigned me. Our lead never assigned any of the ISSO team member to me that I should work with, right? But I was just on my own. Whatever that they're doing, I'm watching. And sometimes the lead will just call me, hey, this guy is doing this, go and watch him do it, right? And if I have any question, I should ask him. Uh, they so my first month was more like they have so many policies, they're about to review them. So I should just help them review the policies. If I find anything that is not supposed to be there, I should come out with the way we can handle it. So they gave me that, just going through reading policies and making sure that the policies are good, making recommendations and all of that. All right. So on the job, I would say I needed to know what this whole process of RMF is. But like I said, even you can know everything, you can read and understand, but everything that we are doing on the job is done in the EMAS. So that is the most challenging part of it from the beginning, right? So yeah, if I've answered you.
All right. David, please go ahead.
So my question was, so when you started speaking initially, you said something about you have about 500 things on the control that you are working with. My question is, how do you keep track of all this 500 if you have the same thing on the high side and the same thing on the low side? Do you guys use, you said you use EMAS, but do you guys also use Splunk in anything as well?
Yeah, so if I'm working with the control family, let's say AC. So AC is basically access control. So under access control, I can have other sub controls, like I can have about maybe 50 controls just in AC, right? And I have to finish everything in AC before I move on to the next control. So the EMAS actually tells me where I left. And as far as tracking the controls are concerned, I see everything. I know where I left. So the next day I continue right away from there, right? And if other tools that we use, which I have not used it that much, we use other monitoring tools. We use the Tanium, we use SolarWinds as well. So those controls or those tools are used for monitoring some of these hardwares and then our softwares, right? But I've not really used it that much. But occasionally, I use it just to track some of the artifacts on the system.
All right. Angela, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. So my question is, earlier I had asked about when you say two systems, what you meant, and you clarified that you mean one is basically classified and the other is non-classified. So to delve deeper into that, per person, you as an ISO, you said there are 4 of you. What is the average or the most systems that you work on? And by that, I don't mean like classification at the micro, I mean at the higher level, but when it comes to hardware and software, I believe that's what you're trying to monitor, like do the risk assessments on. So is there a limit, like let's say there's 200 servers in the environment or any software that you're trying to bring into your environment? How many of these hardware or software does an ISO typically work on? If that makes sense. What's the limit? Like, what's the most?
Well, there's no number to it. So the way we work is we have been assigned a system, right? The system, they are not the same. Some of the system has a lot of packages that one person cannot work on it. For example, the cloud system, there are so many of them there that one person cannot track. If you give it to one person, it take years before they can track everything or they can come out with access all the controls over there. So for me, I've been given one system where I do have a lot of softwares and hardwares that I track, but it's not as many compared to other systems. So when it comes to the number, I can't give a number, but it's quite a lot of them in there.
So please, as a follow-up, you said for instance, you have been given a cloud system. What do you mean by that? Like in AWS, if you say a cloud system, do you mean all your resource in AWS or one specific, asset in AWS? What is that system in AWS or the cloud?
So the cloud system, we have the AWS and we have the Azure system, right? So we have divided the cloud system. The AWS, we have 5 or 6. And then we have the Azure. So let's say the cloud system, we have 3 of them. And I've been assigned with one of the AWS system where I track all those network devices over there. And almost all the assets that we have there, I track them.
Okay, so it's by cloud, basically. If you're
Yes.
working on a cloud system, you are responsible for your assets in AWS, but you get help if there's a lot of resources to track in there.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Uchiyama, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Edu. My question is, what's the process of obtaining a security clearance?
Okay, so for me, yeah, mostly if you have served in the military, about 90%, 95% of military personnel, they do it for us free, irrespective of your job that you are doing. Like I said, I was in the medical field. Yeah, they decided to do a clearance for me because maybe my job at some point I deal with patients, right? And I get to know some of their sensitive information and stuff like that. So I have no idea, but I guess that is the reason why they did it for me. So having a clearance, I am not sure if there are any other means besides what the military did for me.
Okay, so let me also chime in here because I know a lot about clearance. Now, for clearance, one, you have to be a citizen, right? And then 2, mostly for most folks in the military, before you ship out to go to basic training, they will start your interim clearance, right? So sometimes they're not going to do the full, but they will start interim. So it's kind of in the process, like in progress. Now, based on your job in the military, some jobs require you to have the clearance. So for those jobs, if you're not a citizen, you cannot get them going in. I mean, once you finish basic, you obviously become a citizen. But prior to that, if you're a citizen, you can get those ones because they can easily give you clearance. So most of the IT jobs, even for the health side, some jobs, because of the data you are going to come in contact with, they will do your clearance even before you ship out. But if your job doesn't really require it, they will start your interim. And even if you're not a citizen, they will start the interim still, right? And just leave it at interim. So it's very easy for them to finish it up. Now, as you are in, I'm talking about like in the military. If you are in and you want to maybe switch and go do a different job or whatever, and it requires security clearance, they'll do it for you. Now, outside the military, the the companies that are working for the government as contractors, the company will first have to get clearance before they even get that contract, based on the contract that they are going to do. So those companies, they can sponsor you to get clearance, right? So they can pick you with no clearance. If you're a citizen, that is good. They will then apply for the clearance on your behalf. Now, as an individual, you cannot just go about applying for security clearance. Do you even know where to go to apply for security clearance? And nobody's going to give you security clearance as an individual, right? It's need to know basis, and you need it to work, right? So the companies will apply for you. So without having the clearance, you can still apply to these jobs, and when they pick you, they will apply for the clearance for you, right? So those are the two ways. If you're not coming from the military side, even as on the civilian side, you can still get clearance. The companies will do the clearance for you, right? So hopefully that clears it. Now let's look at some questions in here. So, okay, I think I'll let Ali go. Please go ahead, Ali.
Thank you very much. My question is my friend whom we are living in Seoul, and about his background in
Oh, you are coming in a bit faint. If you can kindly adjust your microphone.
oh, do you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much for hosting this event for us. And today, second is about the my question is to my friend who has been talking about his IT background, his service background. My question is about how long did it take him to be trained on by Emmanuel and his team? How long did he has he been with this? Has he been trained on basically his team for electricity? And then if my second question is, I think maybe to you, if somebody has maybe has a subject 20 plus, he has the master's degree in information assurance, yeah, and that person is now working on his CYSA class. And how long does that kind of person maybe take him be to maybe uh, take such a role, maybe an SSO role?
Okay, so I'm not sure if Bobby was able to hear all that, because I heard some part and not all of it. So Ali, if Bobby didn't hear everything, if you can kindly put it in the chat also as well for us, and I'll read it out for.
Yeah, Doctor, I didn't quite get what he was trying to say. Maybe you can summarize what you get, and I can take it.
Yeah, I think I heard Ali was saying, how long did it take you in terms of training and everything to get to the position that you are in? That is what I think I heard in the first portion. The second question I really didn't hear. So if you can put it in the chat, Ali. So
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, the second question was somebody has a master's degree in information assurance, which is just like semester network certificate. And then that person also has certificate that already is working on his way for his CIS class. So how long does that kind of person maybe take him to be at this role as a information system security officer?
Okay, so if I heard you right, if somebody has a master's degree in cybersecurity, like in information security or information assurance, how long would it take the person to be able to do what Bobby is doing?
Correct.
Like that. Okay. I think I was hearing right. Okay, so Bobby, if you can go ahead and answer these like these two questions whilst I go through the chat.
Yeah, so like I said, I didn't have any prior background knowledge in IT, nothing in cybersecurity. So it was all through everything that I did through the what do you call it? The internship, right? It was everything that I got through the internship. And at the time I finished the internship, I that was somewhere in 20. So we started our internship somewhere June 2023. Derek was in my group. I still remember Thomas, Joel, and other folks. We were in the same group. I was still pretty much in the military, but I was still doing this because I wanted to transit into the cybersecurity, right? So once we finished the cybersecurity internship, I still had like a year on my contract with the military. All right. So my transition, I left the military somewhere last year, September, and then I had this job in November. So it was just two months for me to land this job. But so far as the training is concerned, I don't think I did a lot of stuff. I started reviewing my notes right from my 6 months out, somewhere last year, March, April. I started going through everything that I did with Eretmis, polishing my skills, risk assessment, how to write how to write policies, procedures, everything that I did on the internship project. I went through it again, and then I knew having a clearance and with my background in the military, I knew I can easily get a job when I try to cross the line, right? So that was when I started reading a lot about RMF. Nobody taught me RMF. It was everything that I did with Eretmis, the same knowledge that I transfer to the RMF. So I cannot give a timeline, but that is how mine worked for me. It was all about reading more, the determination and everything. And then I got my job 2 months after I separated.
Right. And Bobby, did you go through the entry level or just the internship?
Yes, I did the entry level. So yeah, the entry level it was tough for me because like I said, I didn't have any background in IT. So some of the stuff that I was reading, going through the entry level was things that I've never heard it anywhere before, right? So it was kind of rough from the beginning. And most part of it, I was also not reaching out. And at that time too, I was chasing a lot of other certifications that I needed to do my job in the military. So I was combining the two at the same time, and that was very challenging. How I was managing my own time, it was very challenging. But once I did finish, I know a lot of folks said they use like a month to finish all the entry level, everything there. But in my case, I use about 5 months. I know you can do within some few weeks or a month, but because I was still doing other thing, the military side, it was very hard for me to manage my time. How I will come out balancing those two at the same time was kind of difficult. But once I finished going through it and I joined the internship, that was when I knew like everything was now making sense. Honestly, everything that I read, the entry level was kind of, was good information, but I still didn't understand because I didn't have a strong background in IT. But the moment we started doing the internship, everything started making sense. Now I can go back to my notes and read. I'm like, oh, okay, this is the meaning of this and stuff like that, right? So yeah, I went through the entry, and then I also did an internship.
Okay. So let's jump in here. Uh, Question from Abraham. Did you have Security Plus before your course with the Eretmis? And once you answer that, we'll go to Louis.
No, I didn't. I didn't. So during my 6 months, probably before I left the military, that was when I started chasing those certification. Like I said, that time I've gone through my entry level notes. I've gone through what do you call it? The internship, everything that I did on the internships, and I was very sure I was ready to get my certification. So I didn't have any certification before I joined Eretmis. It was way after the internship before I got it.
Okay, and someone is asking, what is the difference between poem specialist and ISSO?
Well, this is the first time I'm hearing anything like poem specialist. I don't know what. I have no idea what that is. But poem basically means plan of action and milestone. Right. So poem is like I described earlier on. Once a control, all the control, they have to have some poems. If there's a vulnerability, we have to come out with a poem. Once we assess the control and we identify that the control needs a poem, then we have to come out with everything that needs to go into the poem. So the poem itself, the content of a poem, it means that there are weaknesses that we have been able to identify in the control. We have to come out with remediation steps. We have to write impact analysis. We have to come out with the milestone, and then we also have to indicate who is responsible for that, right? So poem, I would say, is like a corrective actions that we take in order to fix deficiencies in the system. So I don't know where any job title that is called as poem specialist, but poem is one of my day-to-day thing that I do on the work. I need to make sure if a control is assessed and there's a weakness, I have to write poems.
Okay, so now let me translate everything that Bobby said, right? I'm the grandpa, so I want to, break it down in the grandpa style. So for maybe everybody on here, if you keep hearing controls, 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 and you're like, what are controls, right? So for in cybersecurity, we have a checklist, right? Different types of checklists that we use for different things, right? So for on the government side, there's a whole list of them. We call them frameworks. On the government side, we have NIST, RMF, we have FESMA, there's a whole, so it's simply a checklist of things that have to be in place, right? So if maybe one, let's take it on daily basis, like yourself, you have a cell phone. So one thing on the checklist is you should have a PIN on your cell phone. You should have a lock on your cell phone, right? So either facial recognition or a pin that you're going to type or some symbol that you're going to make for it to open. So if we check your phone and there is no lock on there, then that is where we come into what Bobby is doing. So that is a vulnerability that we have to fix. Now the poem comes in. For the fixing, we have to identify who has to do the fixing, right? Two, what are we going to do the fixing? How long do we have, or what is the timeline, right, by which we should have fixed and come up with some form of lock on your phone, right? So hopefully this makes it easy, and that way we are not just deep into cybersecurity terminology and stuff, and people are totally lost, right? It is that simple. Now the technical part of it is understanding what is in the checklist, right? So, but the how we do it and everything is exactly what I've broken it down to be, right? So, if we are looking at a poem specialist, then it means your job is only going to be when there is a gap, you are the one, or like there's a vulnerability, you are the one just coming up with the poem, right? And then moving it on to somebody else. But mostly, you are going to be doing more than that. So I'm not sure exactly. Even if they bring you in as a poem specialist, I think you're going to be doing more than a poem specialist, right? So with that, Charles, please go ahead whilst we go through the other questions on here. You are muted if you're trying to speak, Charles.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay. Yeah. I'll say hi to Bobby. My question was, I wanted to know, Bobby talk about those, don't know, systems. There is a way we can go learn those systems like outside, the job or some website, something like that?
No. So if you are trying to come into the RMF, the only thing that I can recommend for you is for you to understand what risk assessment is. You have to know how to do risk assessment, all right? And then everything else, and you also have to, of course, know the RMF process. I think there are six of them. You have to be able to speak to it. Those who help you get through the interview and all of that. But so far as the systems are concerned, once you land the job, they will show you know what is happening within the EMAS, right? So the only thing, but of course, if I didn't know anything about risk assessment, I don't think I would have been able to do the job I'm doing right now. And everything that I know is because I went through the entry level and uh the internship, which Dr. Tu taught me all those how to do risk assessment and all of that. And remember, I said I also review poems. All right. So
Yes.
we also did that during the internship. It was one of the project, I think project 4, project 5, I don't remember. But after you have done your risk assessment, you have identified all those gaps, you have to come out with all those mitigation strategies. So it's pretty much everything that we are doing in the RMF, right? So if you really understand risk assessment procedures, you can easily transfer that same knowledge on the government side.
Okay, thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Bobby. And there's a question here. Do you deal with these as things, or and how easy is it? Okay, so let me scroll up to comply with, or do you just do poems mostly? So yes.
Yeah, so I don't do sticks. It's not we have the technical folks that do sticks and a lot of that. But once they do it for a particular control, I need that. All right. I need that to upload on the EMAS as an artifact. But I don't actually do the sticks, but I use stick document as an evidence that this particular control has a stick and is uploaded on the EMAS. So yes, I don't do sticks.
Okay, and the next question is, what Prowl Cloud or AWS knowledge did you have before getting into this role, and any challenges working on the cloud system as an ISO?
Yeah, I didn't have anything. We didn't do any cloud computing during the internship, right? So I didn't have any prior knowledge or whatsoever. So when I was assigned the system in the cloud, it was kind of challenging for me because I basically don't know anything, right? But everything that I do in the cloud, tracking all those devices and everything, is the same thing I do on the other side. So it is not really a big thing. But yes, of course, I need to know my cloud stuff. Sometimes you go for meetings and you are supposed to brief everyone there. They kind of mention terms in the crowd that if you are not familiar with it, you wouldn't be able to make meaningful impact in the meeting, right? So, and at the moment, I am in the cloud computing class with Dr. Edu, because about a month ago we needed one ISSO on our team, and guess what? I'm new on the job, but occasionally they even put me on the hiring team as well. So our hiring process is very, like I said, it's normally 2 steps. I wouldn't say 3, because the recruiter that will reach out to basically is just trying to check if you have the minimum requirement, that is your clearance and your security plus. Once you pass through that, then the next phase of interview is us, we the ISSO. So the ISSO lead normally select 2 from the team, all right? And then we go through the interview, and then once the person pass, that person go and meet the PM, who is the project manager. And then if they pass, they get offered, right? So at some point, like a month ago, we needed one person on our team for the cloud who will be managing all our cloud environment. And it was a huge money they wanted to pay. But I mean, I don't have any experience in the cloud. So if I have, right, I would have easily got that as well. But I didn't have any knowledge in the cloud. And that is the more reason why I decided to come back to Eretmis to enroll in the cloud computing.
All right. So another question in here, Bobby. What kind of questions did you encounter during the interview?
Okay, so do I still remember? So they asked me, so the technical question, they asked me to define what a control is. And then they asked me what is the difference between AC1 and AC2. And I remember at that time, the ISSO lead who I now work with was like, if I don't know what AC2 is, at least AC1 I should know it's about what, right? And then he went ahead to say AC1, AC2, CM1, all of them talks about the same thing. And normally we call them the -1 controls. And I remember during one of the cyber chat, someone said -1. And I knew what AC1 is because AC1, all the -1 controls talk about policy and procedure, right? So I was able to let him know, yeah, I know AC1, AC is access control. And so -1 means access control, policy and procedure. But the -2, I had no idea. I didn't remember that. So I was honest and I told him, hey, there's so many controls out there. I cannot remember what each of them stand for, but I know AC1 is this and that. And then he was happy with my answer because I got it right. But of course, I didn't get the AC2, but he was cool. So that was one of the questions. And then they asked me to walk them through my knowledge in the RMF process. So I have to start from the 6 process, right? Go through authorization, go through the selection process, go through everything, like all the 6 process. I have to talk about it. And these are things that I've read on the internet, bought the books, make my own notes, and I was able to come out with my own understanding of it, and then I just share it with them. And then from there, they asked me policy. What is my knowledge in policies? I was able to define what a policy is, and they asked me if I've done any policies, and I said yes. So they asked me about how policy looks like, the structure of a policy, what goes into a policy, all right? And I was able to describe that as well. And then they did ask me if I've used any GRC tool before. And at that time, I think I was trying to learn OneTrust, something like some of those tools on YouTube, listening to people on YouTube, and kind of I needed the knowledge so I can speak to some of those things, right? But they were specific on EMAS because that is what they use, and I didn't know anything about EMAS. So I told them no, but I know other GRC tools, compliance tools that I can play with. And then they also asked me if I've used any scanning tools like the ACAS, which we call the Nessus, right? And then I say yes, because during the entry level course, there were tools that we try our hands on. Nessus was one of them. So I told them yes, I've used Nessus before. And yeah, I think those were the few questions, maybe 4 or 5 questions on the technical side. And then everything much was about teamwork, soft skills, how do I do presentation, how do I work with teams, and all of that. So there were not a lot of technical questions, maybe 4 or 5 of them, and everything else was more like soft skills questions.
Okay, thank you, Bobby. So the next question, what is the difference between ISSO and vulnerability analyst?
So my work is, so we have the vulnerability management team, which we work with them, right? So once they scan the system, they are the ones able to detect that there is a vulnerability on the system. And then once they have their finding, they send it to us. So once I see it, that is where my work comes in. I have to also come out with a mitigation strategy, which is the policies and the poems and everything that I do. So on the DoD side, it's quite different. We have a vulnerability management team, and then our ISSO, we are also doing our own thing. So it's not the same.
Oh, okay. And did you take any other different training before the ISSO job?
Yeah, so like I said, I left the military last year, September, but we have something we call the skill bridge. All right, the skill bridge is more like an internship. When you're leaving the military, they give you like 6 months, 4 months to go and do an internship. So I did apply to companies for that internship, and then I had one company which were, I think it's in Maryland. So I was working with them, but basically they didn't. The funny thing is, I thought I was going to do an internship, but I went there, and this company came like they have nothing in place. Like they don't everything. They were starting everything from scratch, right? So I was the guy who was writing their policies. That is the only thing that I was doing on the job, writing policies, every policy they have now. I did it for them. So I was only writing policies, and there were moments where I will also help with their third party assessment because they were trying to get some other monitoring tools, and I was the one engaging them. So on the job, the training that I had with those company, it was more like I didn't go there to learn any skills. It was just my skills that I was using. I was writing policies for them, and I was the POC so far as all those third party companies were concerned, right? So it wasn't that much. I wouldn't say I had any training from anywhere because what I did with them was they didn't teach me anything. I actually went there to teach them something. And yeah, that is what I can say.
Okay. So you were there teaching them what you did in the internship instead.
Yes. Yes. And I was very disappointed because I really wanted to learn a lot before I started applying. But it was just me. It was just me. It was a team uh of three. They have only three cybersecurity professionals. So you can imagine. And they didn't know anything. Their policies were like you can see just a half page for access control policy. It was a joke, honestly. So I have to come out with almost everything, and then once I finish, I review with their project team lead, and they will accept it. It is fine and stuff like that. So I didn't go there to learn anything from them. It was just about me doing everything for them. So yeah, I wouldn't say I had any prior training before I applied for or I got this job. Everything was basically from the entry course and the internship.
Okay. So and then Ernest is asking, can you give us one example of control? But I think maybe probably with the example that I gave, if that is good, Ernest, we can move on. Or if Bobby wants to give an example of one of the controls.
Yeah, controls. We have so many. Like I said, AC is a control. Access control. We have IR, incident response. We have what again? Thousands of them. I can't even remember them offhand. Yeah, but those are the few that I can remember. We have so many controls. If you have ever used the NIST document, we have system configuration as well. There's a lot of them. If you're ever going through the NIST document, you see so many controls in there, right? So I can't remember or I cannot say all the controls. It's a lot of controls.
Okay. And George is asking, what is the difference between cybersecurity analyst role and an ISSO role?
Well, analyst role, some of the things that they do are basically the same thing that we also do. So normally I don't go much with the titles because the title can be very deceiving, right? It's about the description of the job. If you know you can do the job based on what they are expecting you to do, that is it. The role itself, uh, we handle systems. ISSO, we handle a system. So a system package, everything that goes into the system, you are the owner of it. Make sure it's good. Analyst is more like they assign them to something specific. Maybe they come out with it's kind of similar. So maybe doctor, maybe you can come in. I'm not too sure about.
Yeah, so with job titles now, mostly ISSO on the corporate side, you'll be a cybersecurity analyst, right? Or similar title, GRC analyst, right? But on the government side, they choose to use ISSO. So what you do is really not that much different. But then also when it comes to the job titles, sometimes it gets a bit tricky. You don't have to really hang too tight on it because what you're going to be doing as a security analyst in one company might be different from what you're doing in another company as a security analyst, right? But the bottom line is you should understand security and you should have worked on different projects. So anywhere they put you, because you can be a security analyst in one company, and what you'll be doing on daily basis is really a third-party risk analyst job, right? Or you can be doing a GRC analyst job with the title of a security analyst, right? So, but if you don't understand security one, have very strong working knowledge in security two, have some projects, under your belt, then you wouldn't be able to function effectively, right? Now, let's run through the rest of the questions here. John, please go ahead.
Hi everyone. Just a quick question. I'm I'm just now starting. I'm just like our speaker. I have no hands-on experience in cybersecurity or anything, but I am in pursuit of a BSA in information system and security. My question is, how do I prepare my resume with no experience whatsoever, and trying to find a job? Can I use my school knowledge as experience, basically?
Okay, so before I let Bobby come in, so in cybersecurity, when we're talking about experience, right, it's not limited to just your technical cybersecurity experience, right? We are looking at overall, so technical and non-technical. Now, the good thing here is with the non-technical or with your soft skills, that can be from any other job or any other role that you've had in the past, right? Now, with the technical, you should have at least work on some projects to be able to say, done this, I've done that, right? So if you've not really worked on any technical projects, quote unquote, then I think you just going to be like your resume is going to be very heavy on the soft skill side, right? To be able to still leverage that, right? Because don't take my word for it. Take any cybersecurity job description. If you go through skill set they are looking for, they will list the technical side, and then you jump into leadership skills, managerial, great presentation skills, oral and verbal communication, right? All those you don't necessarily have to have worked in cybersecurity to gain those, right? If you
Okay.
are looking for a cybersecurity manager role and you've been a manager
Yeah.
in your company for the past 10 years, you have the managerial skills already. Now, what you just need to add to it is the cybersecurity knowledge and some skill, right? So, but
Yeah.
like a role like that will also be very heavy on soft skills. So it's probably going to be like 70% soft skills and maybe 30% technical, right? In
Okay.
cybersecurity, the higher you go, the less technical it becomes. So when people
Okay.
are selling themselves short, you're like, yeah, I'm just coming into security, I'm starting from scratch. How can I? You can apply for managerial roles because guess what? People that you're managing in your previous role is the same people you are going to manage here. Now, granted, you have to understand the technical aspect of the job, right? But really, you think your CISO can really do the poems you are doing or come up with like conduct the risk assessment of your company. Now, if the CISO went through the ranks all the way up to that point, then yes. But mostly CISOs, are just managers or VPs and directors from other companies who've been able to leverage themselves to get that role. They are just managing people at that point, right? They are depending on the technical know-how of their managers and people underneath them.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
Now, when you say projects, what do you mean? Like, it's such as what do you mean when you say projects? Worked on any projects?
Okay, so you should have now moving from theory to doing by doing internship like Bobby was talking about, even if it's not with Eretmis, finding a company that you're going to work on some projects for them, right?
Okay.
So when we talk about risk assessment, you've not just read about risk assessment, but you've actually conducted a risk assessment on a company, right? Policies.
Okay.
You've actually done policies for a company, right? Because either than that, you read about policies, but really, if I ask you, what are some of the policies a company is supposed to have in for cybersecurity, right? Maybe you can list one or two, but do you really have the whole list? And if I ask you to come up with a policy, where do you find a good template? What really has to be the content of a policy, right?
Okay. Yeah, I've done a couple of those already. Okay, so those are the projects that I will put on my resume.
Yes.
Okay,
Right.
got it. Got
So
it.
if you've
Makes sense.
done stuff like that, yes, that goes up because I mean that is what you're going to do on the job, right? So things that you've done, that is what you are highlighting that, hey, I've worked on this, I've worked on that, I've worked on that. Because on the job, they want to see what you've worked on, not what you know, not you can recite, right?
Absolutely.
Nobody is going to ask you first day on the job, hey, John, can you define what vulnerability is? Right? They don't care. Yeah, you know it. Okay, good, fine. Go do the vulnerability assessment and, let's move on. Right. And then
Okay.
if you've never done it, then now you are stuck. Right. So that is why I'm always preaching about, yes, you can't do what you don't know, but also if you know when you don't do, then your knowing just is knowing. Right. It's really of no use.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have to combine the two.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I appreciate you. Thank you very much, Doctor.
You're welcome. All right. So somebody was asking if do you use CAC or the PIV card to access, and if so, how difficult is it to work classified remotely? So okay, if you want to jump on this, Bobby. So do you use your CAC card or you use the civilian version of the CAC card? And if so, how do you use that at home?
Oh, so like I said, I do have the card, the civilian version. So that one is only used for the unclassified side of the system. And then I do have another card which I use for the classified side. But like I said, the classified side or the high side, I can only work when I'm on site, right? So I only use that when I'm on site.
All right. So starting with the questions from the bottom here, what tools or templates are used in policies? So Raphael is asking what tools and templates you use in, I think, creating policies in your role.
There are no templates. And well, there's a guide how the DoD want their policies to look like, right? So maybe I would say that is a template. But so far as tools are concerned, we don't have it too. Everything, you have all the document where you can pull resources from. And I do not do the policy in isolation, right? Everything that I do, I also do a lot of consultations with the technical people, the engineers, the scan management team as well. So they all have other resources that they send to us. And all I do is to go through them, pick those ones that I need, and then put them in the policy. So there are no tools that we use, or we for the template, not a template like there's a design template that you are just filling in the gaps. No, but there's a standard. So I wouldn't say it's a design template that we just fill in the gaps now.
Okay, so still going down the list. So Angela is asking, you said there was an ISSO position that just opened, uh, and that required you to have, cloud, uh, what like cloud skills, and that was higher paying. How much salary was that? Like, how much were you looking at for that position?
Oh yeah, so that was 170 to 210.
Okay, all right.
Wait, what?
So
What did you say?
Yeah, so
I'm
David.
sorry. I just want to make sure I heard the right thing.
Okay, go ahead, Bobby.
170 to 210.
What?
The range.
My,
Yeah.
my goodness. Okay. Sorry, I'm an ISO too, but I'm not in that range. That's why. But go ahead.
Yeah, so I think if Bobby want to clarify that, Bobby said that role needed you to also I think like that
Yeah.
that ISO
So
was going to be specifically working in the cloud, right?
yeah, this role was, I think it was open somewhere before even I joined, and then they closed it just when I joined, right? And then about a month and some weeks ago, they opened it again. They just didn't get anyone to fill the role because there are not a lot of ISSO who know a lot of cloud stuff out there, right? So maybe that was the motivation for them to also raise the bar a little bit, but that was how much they were offering, 170 to 210.
Okay. And John is asking, okay, Dixon, please go ahead.
I'm being new in the system, and I got my certification just last year, November, right? And like you said, we need to be doing certain stuff that will find that we get some points to maintain it, or we write the exam. Now, I'm not a citizen, but I have a permanent stay. I've been in the in it's, I've been trying to find new work, and it's more of the federal systems where you need to be a citizen, you need clearance and all that. What are the other options? And then he was talking about policies, writing policies. So I just wanted to know, are these policies skewed towards the controls where normally you get to get the discussions, the control discussions where you use them in doing the statements? I just want to know if that's what he's talking about or if it's a different thing at all. And what is the way forward for me that I don't have, that I'm not a citizen, but I've come into this system and I realized that it's more for citizens. What is the advice for me?
Okay, Dixon, so let's debunk that. One, you don't need to be a citizen to work in cybersecurity. No, if anybody tells you that is not true, I'm not even going to say it's not accurate, it's not the truth, right? We've had a whole variety of students, some citizens, some just had their work authorization and they are working making six figures in cybersecurity.
Okay.
Right. So I can tell you on authority that is not true. So now for the jobs, there are government jobs, there are, corporate jobs. So if you're looking for a government job, some government jobs you have to be a citizen. Some you need security clearance. Right. So but there are equally more jobs out there on the corporate side, sometimes than even the government side. So I don't know how you are looking, but you have to spread your wings. Don't just limit yourself to a specific job title, right? So that one is out of the window. Now, in terms of the policies, I'll leave Bobby to answer that.
Can you what was
Okay, you are talking about writing policies, right? And I know most of the controls have within the control that's the NIST publication 53B where you get the controls. During the control, when you read the control discussions, it describes the controls and the expectations of the controls. So I was asking if writing the policies, were you skewed towards those discussions or something else? I'm able to write implementation statements for those discussions. So I just wanted to know if that's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, so before we write policy, it means we have already done assess all the controls, and we know which control needs a policy and all of that, right? So there is not one person doing the whole thing, but of course we are the ones who write the policy, but we don't do it in isolation. It's more like
trying for just cities, but it looks like
Yeah, kindly go ahead, Bobby.
It's more like a structured process where all relevant stakeholders are also involved in it, right? So we also reach out to various departments of the company. I told you we have the vulnerability management team, we have the engineers as well. So everything that we are doing, so far as the policy are concerned, we will write it, but we also need other artifacts from those what do you call it? Those stakeholders. We put them together and then we come out with a policy. So once we come up with a policy, it's not it needs to go through a process before it get approved, right? So it goes through a lot, but I mean, once we are done, I push it and then it goes through other process. It will go through approval stage and then it will go through stakeholders identification where they identify who needs to know this policy. Some contractors needs to know, third party admins and employees. Some of them they need to know. Whoever needs to know will come on board as well, right? And then they go on to the communication planning team where they'll be the one to communicate it and stuff like that. So my job ends on the policy. I don't follow it all the way out there, but when everything is approved, then it comes back to me, and then I go ahead and upload it as an artifact on the email system.
All right. Thank you. So, about 2 or 3 more questions, and then we will be about to wrap it up. So, Bobby, somebody's asking, did your health health industry background, give you any direct advantage in the current role that you are in?
No. I mean, I was a physical therapist in the Air Force, so physical therapist has nothing to do with IT stuff. So and there was nothing. I mean, and my military background didn't give me the job as well. Maybe I would say the only thing that helped me was the fact that I had a clearance from the military, but it has nothing to do with the job that I did in the military.
Okay, so I think they are looking at it overall. What about soft skills? Now you are dealing with people, talking with different people that you are working with. How is your relating to people, your team playing skills? Did anything that you've done prior, especially like in the military and in the health side, did that help, or is that helping you in any way?
Yes, so the soft skills, I would say, is the big part of my job. Big part of my job. You know, you can never do this job if you don't have a strong communication and also documentation skills. Right. So soft skill is, I would say, yes. I mean, it is the biggest part of the job. Like I said, uh, for example, when it comes to policy creation, if you need some artifacts or if you need some information from other team, you have to communicate with them, right? So if you don't know how to communicate, approach people and ask for help and all that, I mean, uh, it becomes a big deal, you know. So strong communication, you cannot, I mean, say you don't have it. You really have to learn how to communicate well. And the other thing will be teamwork. Like I told you, we have a group of other people that we work with, other stakeholders that we reach out to. And almost every week, there are meetings somewhere, at least two or three meetings in the course of the week. And sometimes they want to know something about your system. So sometimes they want to know something about the system I'm working with. So if I'm working with on the system and someone needs something from the system, they will reach out to me. They will set up a Zoom call with, a Teams call with me, and I have to walk them through things and all of that, right? So it's all about communication. And we have the engineers where they do all the configuration on the system. So uh, I need them. If I'm assessing a control. I need to have an evidence that, okay, we have this in place, this is this, and most of that stuff comes from the engineers. So I have to reach out to them. So if you don't have a good collaborate with them, you know, I mean, how are you going to get all those artifacts? So yeah, the DoD is a big, very huge, and sometimes you'll be chasing one person for just a paper, and it takes months, and they are not, you know, trying to give it to you because they also have other things they are doing. So yeah, two big things here will be strong communication and a good team worker.
All right. Thank you. For Charles, please go ahead whilst I'm bringing up last two questions.
Yes, Bobby. I wanted just to know if in your job they let you like use Chat GPT or those AI to assist you.
I mean, you cannot access anything on the government computer. So if it's only when I'm home, I'm working on at home, and maybe I'm accessing a control or I'm writing a poem, right? Like I said, the poem, you need to come out with the vulnerability description. You need to write why you think this is a vulnerability. You need to write the impacts, what will happen to the system if this is not handled. You need to come out with mitigation strategies. What can be done to, prevent this from happening? What should we do, right? So all those things, if there is something that you are working on and you don't understand, I use ChatGPT just to break it down to understand it when I'm home, right? But I do not go on ChatGPT or my government computer. You cannot do that. All right. So I use ChatGPT on the other side just to get knowledge of what I'm doing if I don't understand anything. And then at work, we have what we call the NEPA GPT. It is kind of similar to the ChatGPT. It is designed by the government, and we have it on our government computers as well. The idea is for you to also help you to do your job. If you don't understand anything, you can go there, and it works the same as the ChatGPT that we have here. So if you don't understand a particular thing, maybe there's a terminology that you think is too big for you, you don't understand even the vulnerability they are talking about, you can actually use it to break it down so you can come out with other things that you need to write. So yes, I would say I use ChatGPT when I don't understand anything, when I'm at home, but at work I don't use it.
So, but when you use ChatGPT, like when you're working on the high stuff, like secret stuff, you keep the name or you change something to now reveal like those secrets when you ask ChatGPT.
Your question is not clear, or maybe you didn't quite get what I said, but I do not use ChatGPT to do much on my job, right? It's more like, okay, there's this vulnerability they are talking about. I don't understand what that vulnerability is. So I use ChatGPT for it to explain to me what kind of vulnerability is this. That is it. Once I get understanding of it, everything else I write it. So
Okay.
I don't on the job, like I cannot go on any non-government site like ChatGPT and do anything there. No, I don't do that. We have our own version of a ChatGPT at work that if you don't understand anything, it can break things down for you. That way, when you understand it, you can go ahead and apply the knowledge that you got, right? But I do not just enter anything on ChatGPT and drag it on my system or anything. No, I don't do anything like that.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Bobby. I think we have 2 or 3 more questions. Somebody was asking about your company again, if you can mention it or put it in the chat. Also, so Derek is asking, without an IT background, how much commitment and effort did you put into getting to where you are now? And I mean, during your days at Eretmis, how much hours and how much effort did you put into during the entry level and then internship?
Yeah, so the motivation, started off with the call that I made to you. Like I said, that was in 2021, but not until 2022 that I started, somewhere October, November. That was when I started going through the entry level course. And it took me like 5 months, 5 to 6 months to finish the entry level. I know other folks did it within some few weeks or a month, right? But at that time, I was not really there was not really nothing at stake because I was still in the military. I still had like 2 years on my contract, right? So there was no need for me to be rushing. I wanted to at least understand what I'm reading and all of that. So it took me about 5 months to just finish the entry level. And I was not kind of studying every week. Maybe a week I would just spend like 2 hours. The other week I would not even do anything. So that was how I was doing it until we started the internship. And then when I finished the course, actually, I didn't join the internship until somewhere June. I think we started June 2023. And that was when, after our first project, everything started really, really making sense. And I was tracking everything that we were doing. So from there, I took it serious to understand all the 10 projects that we did. And then when we were done with the project, I still had like a year to leave the military. So I paused, right? And then when I started doing my internship, when I was 6 months out, before I left the military, that was when I went back to the Google Classroom because I still have all my information and everything there to go through every single project that we did during the internship. So that was where I actually started picking it up more seriously, reading more, knowing more, and all of that. So yeah, I would say it's different from everyone, but in my own, I would say it took me like 6 months to prepare myself during my last 6 months in the military, and then I got my job just 2 months after I left.
All right. Thank you, Bobby. And I think for the company that you are working for, somebody was also asking on here.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm putting that right there.
All right. And I think a bunch of folks were also asking about like salary range. So what are we looking at salary range for you? Not the exact amount, but the range.
All right, just a second. Let me put this. All right, so I have the company there. Yeah, so for the salary range, I would say 120 to 145.
All right. And this is your first security role.
Yes.
All right. So as we are going through the questions on here, last run, if we missed anything or you had a question in there and that wasn't answered, you can raise your virtual hand and we will look at it. Right. I think there were, okay, somebody was asking how do you maintain your certification? So as if you're on here, as you're on here, put in the chat, put in hashtag team live and take a screenshot of it. That will count as if you've been here for the 2 hours, you can do that twice. That will be two points for your CPE that you can use to renew. And somebody is asking about the tools already. So George, the tools, I'll let Bobby answer that. So he's asking if you are using Qualys or Nessus on the job. But I
No,
think we spoke about the tools already. Yes, kindly go ahead.
Yeah, so like I said, I mean, during the interview, they did ask me if I knew any vulnerability scanning too. And then, of course, we did the entry course. We went through Nessus. We use Nessus to scan tools, like demonstration of it, right? But on the job, we do have the vulnerability management folks. They do all the scanning and they come out with whatever all the vulnerability that they find. They send it to us. So I do not use any scanning tool on my job. The only tool that I use, like I said, was the SolarWinds. It's used for monitoring, tracking devices, network devices, and Tanium. Also, is a monitoring tool.
All right. And I think, oh, there was a hand up. And then also, someone was asking about, so how many years of experience do you put on your resume? I think John asked something similar. So the number of years on your resume is a combination of your soft skills and your technical skills, right? We've spoke about this for a while. People are always of the view you should have worked in cybersecurity for 5 years for you to be able to apply for a role that even will require some transferable skills from, your other field. So it is on individual basis, right? You cannot just say, I'm just going to put 6 years working experience or 7 years working experience. What have you done prior to what you want to do? what is the amount of, if we quantify it, what is the amount of soft skills that you are bringing? And for some roles or some other jobs that you are doing, there are even some technical cybersecurity skills that you are bringing, probably you are not even aware of, right? So we look at that at Eretmis, we look at that on individual basis, and okay, we will say, okay, in a ballpark of this, I think you are supposed to be good. Because, for example, if I was a manager at whatever job that I was doing for 10 years, and I'm applying for a cybersecurity manager role. Now I've done the training, I've done projects, right? Am I going to say I have zero management, managerial experience in cybersecurity because I've never been a manager in cybersecurity? Obviously not, right? So individually, you are going to, look at that on individual basis. So, but for folks, for all our students and interns, once you're done, we do one-on-one when it comes to job placement. So we'll be able to come up with, okay, roughly, I think this is where you can comfortably say you are within this range, right? And what employers are looking for, they are not just your technical skills, they are looking for your soft skills as well. So, Bobby, any final words? If somebody wants to start from scratch, I'm starting today, like you started. What are some of if you are starting today, how are you going to advise Bobby? So, Bobby today and Bobby starting, what is going to be some of the things that you're going to tell yourself if you're starting today, based on what you know now?
Yeah, I mean, based on what I know now, I would say I need to motivating myself. I mean, you should know why you want to do this, right? For me, when I was leaving the military, a lot of folks were like, "No, you don't have to leave. It's rough out there and all of that." And of course, I know a couple of friends who left and they struggled for some years before they could get anything meaningful to do. But I wasn't scared. Honestly, I wasn't scared because I knew if I put in the effort, I can make it, right? So it is all about knowing why you want to do this and putting all the resources. And then also, I invested in this. I did invest in it. My last 6 months before I left the military, I wasn't really sleeping, chasing this certification. Of course, during my interview, nobody really asked me about my academic background. And the chance that I've had to sit in the hiring team with them, we don't even ask anybody what they have in terms of their qualification or anything. It's about just what you can say during the interview, right? So, and you cannot say anything if you have not invested your time going through everything. So, yeah, the only advice I have for everyone here is doable, and you have to be with people who can also motivate you. There were when I was going through the internship. I mean, I have folks on my team where I can reach out to. Derek was one of example. I could reach out to Derek. We would discuss stuff, and we were motivating each other that we can do it. And Derek got a job, I think 2 months before I left the military, and then I got a job after that. Right. So it is all about knowing why you want to do this. Don't be scared about the number of people out there trying to break into this. You see, they'll put a job like 2 hours on LinkedIn and it's over 100 applicants, and you think you cannot, break through. No, you should know that it is doable, put in the efforts, and then everything will pay off for you. If when it comes to recommendation, of course, I use Eretmis. I remember the first time I saw Dr. Du popping up on my Facebook page. For some reason, I knew he was credible because of what he was wearing. He was wearing his military uniform, and being someone in the military, I know. I mean, you cannot wear such uniform and lie, because integrity is one of the things that we uphold high in our military lifestyle, right? So I knew he was credible. So reaching out to him and for him to talk to me that, hey, I don't really need all those programming languages. I don't need any training in Python or whatsoever. Yes, that was the pickup point for me. I built on that and I knew I can do this. So I would definitely recommend Eretmis because, like I said, we didn't do anything RMF in Eretmis, but every single project we did today, I've been able to transfer all those knowledge, and it is paying off for me right now, right? And every single investment that I put into this today, I think I'm getting it in a good way.
All right, Bobby. Appreciate your time. Now, wrapping up. So I think next week is Easter. So next week, Friday, we are all going to be off celebrating Easter with family. And as we are celebrating in the spirit of Easter, we have our Easter promotion going on at 20% on all our programs. As we are wrapping up, if you are looking to get into the AI space, now we have, I think, our very first AI specialist role in the Eretmis family. So he will be coming up here shortly, sometime later. So for our AI program, if you're looking to break into GRC of AI, then our AI governance specialist course is the place to be. And for our cloud security, you heard from Bobby. If Bobby had gone through this before, now he would have been making between 175 and 220 or 230, right? And I think somebody was shouting, really, what are you talking about? We have a handful of Eretmis alumni who are making 250 plus on one job. They are not doing multiple jobs, one, right? So it is very possible. And although they came from no IT background like Bobby, right? So it is very possible. If you want inside scoop on that, you can reach out and we will talk about that later. But our cloud security, the best cloud course out there, is vendor neutral. So we go through AWS, Azure, and then Google Cloud. Now we take you through the theory, knowledge, skill, give you a very strong foundation like we do at Ritmus, and then we move into working on projects. So you can learn all you want. If you don't do, especially in the cloud, if you don't do just learn theory, your theory will be useless, right? So you learn and you do to have a better appreciation. And if you learn well, you'll be able to do well as well, right? But learning and not doing, or just doing without learning, you are always going to, have some gaps in your knowledge base. So jump onto this also if you are looking to polish up in the cloud. Now, if you are looking to start from scratch, build a cybersecurity career, then we encourage our cybersecurity entry-level course. This is a 4 months program. First 2 months you are learning. Next 2 months you are doing internship, and this is the program that Samuel Barbie went through. So a very comprehensive course. It gives you the foundation to be able to do anything and everything, right? The only thing you cannot do with this course is to become an ethical hacker. Aside that, everything else on the blue side, you will be able to function in, right?
Can
We
someone
have,
join the can
yes,
someone join
we
the internship without the entry level?
yes, but caveat to that is you should come in with a very good working knowledge of cybersecurity, right? So if you had training elsewhere, whatever you did, in the internship, we are working on projects. So it's project, project, project. So that is not where we break down the concepts and the theory for you. We expect you to come in with a very good working knowledge in the concepts and the theories. So when we are working on the projects, you have a better appreciation of it. We are actually teaching you how the job is done now, right? And everything that we do there, the best part about it is we do them almost 90% of them manually. So if you go to an interview and you have to break things that you've done, you break them down. It's not just like, oh yeah, we did risk assessment and we used GRC. And so what did you really do? We just used GRC, right? That is not going to get you the job. But we did risk assessment. We use this framework. This is how we identified our scope. This is what we did. How we identified, our gaps. This is how we came up with our risk analysis, and risk treatment. Right. So you'll be able to walk through and you understand what you are doing yourself as well. Right. So we expect you to come in. You can join just the internship, but we expect you to have a very good working knowledge coming into the internship. Right. So, but if you are starting from scratch, then we encourage you to go through the entry level. Right.
I can reach you directly with the number below.
Yes. Yeah, so you can test WhatsApp, somebody is going to respond to you. And for our highest paying course, our highest paying student is from our PCI DSS course, right? And for this also, if you are totally new, we are not going to accept you into the PCI training. You should have a very good working cybersecurity background, or you should have a very good working IT background to qualify for this one, right? So if you're totally new, you can go through the entry level and then after that jump into the PCI training. Now for internship, like we're discussing with Charles, you can join, but you should come in with very good working knowledge, right? And because like I said, it's project, and we are working on these projects one after the other. You're actually going to see how the job is done, right? And you are doing this for two of our sister companies. And for Bobby and everybody else in Eretmis, when they get jobs, guess who is going to do the job verification for you? The companies that you did the projects for, right? So, and the projects that you do, they go on your resume. The companies, they go on your resume. So unlike your other counterparts who are putting companies that they probably didn't work for, projects that they've never done or cannot defend, you are putting companies you actually worked for, projects that you actually did, right? And that is going to be the difference between you and them, right? So, and then also the major difference is you can actually do the work when you are given a chance, right? Than people who say they can do it and then when they get a job is a different thing altogether. Now, our cyber chat Eretmis group, our WhatsApp group, that has been posted in the chat already, so you can kindly look at it. And our YouTube, we encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube. That way you don't miss anything that we do on cyber chats, right? And with that, appreciate everybody's time. So if there are any questions, last minute questions that we didn't tackle, you can kindly bring it up. But
when does the next PCI DSS class start, and also the cloud security? When is the next cohort starting for those two, please?
So all of them tentatively second week of May, right? So, but the actual dates are going to be posted, but tentatively second week of May, right? And somebody is asking, is it 280 or for one job? Is that yes, that is very possible. I mean, there are people making so like how much do you think some like a CISO in maybe Walmart or those companies, how much do you think they are making? Or even director of cybersecurity in Walmart or those companies? 250, nobody's going to take that for like a CISO or VP position in those
350. Yeah, some make a lot. Yeah.
But I talked to some CISOs who are making like almost 500K a year, right? So it is very doable. And even at that level, they don't have to do technical stuff that you are doing now, right? But it's good if you go through the ranks and you get all the way to that point, you are a more effective CISO, more effective director, more effective VP than people who just, good old boy club. They knew somebody who knew somebody at the top and they just pushed them in there, right? Because it's more managerial, director, operational role, right? So on that note, appreciate everybody's time. If there is any question we didn't answer, we are sorry. Probably that was an oversight, but you can also reach back on the side and we can give you Bobby's LinkedIn. You can reach out to Bobby, pick his brain on other stuff. We appreciate your time, Bobby. Thank you very much. Now, for our interns graduating tomorrow, kindly make sure you're on time tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern, and we encourage everyone to come and help us celebrate our interns. The link will be posted for you to be able to join us tomorrow. So have a great and wonderful weekend. Next week, because it's Easter, we are going to meet the following week. Next week, we are not meeting for Cyber Chat. Have a great and wonderful rest of the evening and happy Easter in advance, everyone.
Happy Easter, sir. Thank you.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Happy Easter, Dr.